May the Lord give this council the wisdom, discernment, and courage to serve the community. Grant also that we may act compassionately and the integrity in the best interest of this shire. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen. I would like to show respect and acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land and elders, past, present, and future, on which this meeting takes place. Thank you all. Okay, welcome councillors and those in the gallery to our March council meeting. Mr. GM, application for attending meeting by video link.
Neil received, Mr. Mayor.
Neil, apology, your application of leave.
I have one apology from Councillor Alison McPhee.
The mover, Councillor Williamson, second Councillor Ryan. All in favour? Against? Carried. Move up to disclosure of interest.
I
GM.
have two, Mr. Mayor. The first being from Councillor Fraser in regard to item SCR 3.1. He has which is the car wash in the Kingdon Street. He has a non-pecuniary interest and will take no further action.
You just the one we got.
No, sorry, there's a second one. Second one's from myself, Mr. Mayor, in regard to item CR 3.5. As it refers to my own performance review, and both I and the staff will lead the change during discussion over that.
Thank you, Mr. GM. Move on down to public participation. It's SCR 03.1, the Environmental and Community Services Committee, ECSC 03.1 DA 114/2023 Car Wash and Cafe. Michael Cole is representing on that. Michael, I'll come to the mic, please. No, Michael, you get 5 minutes. You'll get the noise start before. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, councillors. I'm Michael Cole from Hines Bailey Co. Local survey, planning and engineering company. Here to support the application for the cafe and car wash. In 2022, an application for a car wash was put in this site and was put up to Council D&E Committee with a recommendation for refusal from Council's planning staff. That application was prepared by others, and I was asked by the owners to review the application and make some recommendations on how to move that application forward to an approval. In that instance, I agreed with the assessment that development did not fit the heritage characteristics of the site and had overreached on the proposed density of the development. As such, I attended that meeting and undertook to withdraw the application and to work with the council staff to achieve a development that was much more sensitive to the area. To that end, I met with Mr. Pringle and Council's Heritage Advisor, Ms. Elizabeth Evans, to ensure our new plans for the site were sympathetic to the heritage area and the surrounding businesses. Based on this meeting, we considerably reduced the scale of development and completely changed the cafe building to reflect the heritage cottage look that was requested by Elizabeth. We also engaged a new heritage architect who was as local as we could get in Tamworth, as I agree with the comments from the staff that the previous consultant based in Tasmania was inappropriate and had not addressed the context of the local area. Over the next 2 years, I worked closely with consultants and the council staff through a number of planning iterations to address the development concerns and produce a development that we felt would benefit the local community, culminating in the council staff recommending approval of this DA at this month's committee meeting. We note this application was placed on public exhibition twice throughout the process, and we received no objections to the development from any community members. Despite the two above points, the committee passed a motion for refusal of the DA, and I would just like to address the points for refusal that were raised by the committee. I'd like to make a general observation that the points raised would apply to almost any other development that would be proposed for the site, and most other commercial sites in Kelly Street. Parking, loading and vehicle circulation We acknowledge that the development does not strictly comply with parking requirements, but we note that the DCP provides a mechanism to accommodate shortfalls through contributions. And as mentioned, we believe the redevelopment of this site, any redevelopment of this site, will be facing exactly the same issue. And I strongly disagree with the comment regarding the internal circulation. Australian standard circulation was applied to the development footprint, and those templates were applied to the staff and found to be satisfactory. With regard to visual impact, as mentioned before, we worked very closely with Council's Heritage Advisor and Council on landscaping, colours, the look of the building, to address the visual impact. The development is not out of step with the surrounding area. We know there's a tyre repair place, a fire station, an old service station, and a large local shopping centre, all immediately adjacent to the site. We believe this development complements these businesses and does not detract from them. Further to that, point 3 in the points says that it will detract from the central scale conservation area. This is just an extension of point number 2. Based on this, there can be no redevelopment of the CBD in the future. We spent 2 years amending plans to address the issue and gave council no restriction on what we were prepared to provide to them in relation to trying to make this fit with the local street. Lighting and noise, we'll just say that this is a commercial zone and acoustic report was provided. And number 5, car parking and vehicle queuing. Again, similar point to number 1, we provided a traffic report that concluded there would be no adverse impact on traffic movements in the local area. We spent considerable time and effort with consultants and to try to give council staff with the development. We believe will benefit the broader community and that will assist in kickstarting the revitalisation of Kelly Street. Further, we believe this is a fresh development and will complement the recent upgrade street works and the excellent work done by the Thoroughbred Hotel across the road. With respect, we ask that council uphold the recommendation of their planning staff approval of this development and approve the development with the conditions of consent reported to the committee.
Thank you, Mike. Just stay there.
Yep.
Any councillor got questions? Councillor Fraser.
So in response to the reasons for refusal are effectively, we just don't agree with them. Is that the case?
Well, we provided evidence in all our submissions that contradict the reasons for refusal.
Right. So that is the case. You just don't agree with them.
Yeah, I don't agree with them. Yeah.
And you've been a resident of Scone for some time, have you not?
All over the upper hundred, yes.
Yeah.
I have land in my road.
A car wash on the corner of Kelly and Kingdom Street would be pretty incongruous with the rest of the streetscape, wouldn't it?
No, I disagree with that.
Okay. Well, it wouldn't. It's not something that's similar to Thoroughbred Hotel, is it?
No, it's not similar to the Thoroughbred Hotel.
It's not similar to Barwick House. Next door neighbours, is it?
Well, it's Barwick House has there's an ambulance centre there, so it's a different type of building, but it's still a commercial use.
Well, yeah. Answer my question. It's not similar to Barwick House, is it?
In what it's a commercial development, and Barwick House is a commercial resident, a commercial place. It's never going to be the same type of building because we're building a new building.
Right. And then you're moving further up the street, you've got the old advocate office. Right. 1930s, roughly 2030s sort of building. Then you're moving up further up the street, you've got Heritage, you've got Asser House, you've got the old Asser House building. And then you've got McCallum Inglis, and then you've got the cottage, which is the old, it's not the old hospital, but it was the old Mills home. Yeah, the old building. Right, so that's up one street. And then up the other side of Kelly Street, you've got the Coles complex on the corner.
Yes.
And then moving out of that, you then go back into heritage buildings or reasonably heritage buildings as you go back up towards the Regent shop, which would be the newest shop up there, would it not?
Sorry, I missed that. Which shop?
The Regent shop. It used to be the old Mitre 10.
Just before you go, Councillor Fraser, more direct questions, and we'll get into the debate during doing the other part.
A car wash on the corner, a car wash there would, well, let me put it this way, a car wash would be more suitable to a more industrial area of Scone, is my suggestion to you. Would you agree with that?
The application is for a car wash on a suitably zoned piece of land.
Right, and I'm saying it's more suitable if it were in an industrial zone.
There's plenty of examples all up and down the valley where they're in commercial areas. They're in the middle of Newcastle, they're in the middle of Warners Bay, they're in commercial areas. There's actually very few car washes in industrial zones.
Let me make it quite clear. What I'm suggesting to you is that so far as the development in Scone is concerned, it would be more appropriate for that development to occur, a particular development to occur in an industrial area.
I don't agree. I think it fits neatly with a car wash. We've got a tyre centre, a shopping centre across the road. Very convenient for people visiting both to get their car washed while they're in town and not have to head out of town to go and get their car washed. I believe the location is suitable for the local community, and we've had no objections from the local community to the location of the car wash.
Any other council questions? Councillor Williamson, you seem to be half keen.
I don't know if that's putting me on the spot. I really don't have much to say. Certainly, I mean, some aspects of Councillor Fraser was saying about an industrial spot. But you suggest that so in your application you've met all your Australian compliant circulation standards. So when I observed this, I just observed that meeting. I thought, oh, maybe that's a bit of a small space, but you're compliant within all those Australian standards.
Stipulations to the council engineers.
And this has been, I did not know this has been refused in 2022 on heritage.
It didn't get refused, it was put to the committee and I withdrew it because I agreed the fact that it didn't fit the size and scale did not fit, and I wasn't prepared to take the development on as it was.
Yeah.
So we've been doing development applications in 124 years. I only do developments that I think are warranted and have merit.
Yeah.
We don't take them on.
And
we've never had one refused before. We don't take them on if we think they're merit.
and so you've spent 3 years trying to get this to a point of where you thought it would be compliant.
Correct.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McGill.
Yes, sir. Have you had any discussions with Fire and Rescue as being the business next door?
I haven't spoken to the director.
So we don't know whether they've got an attitude as to your egress to your block. Have they back then?
It's been on public exhibition 3 times and we've had no comment. They would have been notified directly. I didn't go and talk to them directly.
Thank you.
Okay, no further questions? Thank you. Well. Okay, council down to NM03.3, the notice of motion of the government place. We've got 3 speakers and a call on Steve Gowan. Thanks, Steve, you know the drill.
Yes, I do, thank you, Morris. Tonight, we'd like to call on council to refrain from closing or selling Gammon Place. I think the first question is, what is the real cost of operating Gammon Place? So in a post in the Upper Hunter Shire Council's website on the 31st of October 2024, Mayor Morris Collison stated that Gammon Place Hostel experienced operating losses of approximately $2 million over the previous 5 years. So that's $400,000 a year, or if you like, $7,700 per week. However, that announcement is in stark contrast to the assurance given to local ratepayers at many previous public information sessions presenting the draft DPOP, wherein the Mayor, the General Manager and the Finance Manager asserted that repeatedly that Council was delivering a balanced budget. So I analysed previous depops and found that data for Gumman Place Hostel showed a consistently positive balance. So in the year 2016, 2017, there was a credit of $52,000. The following year, $115,000. Then we have 21,000, 27,000, 209,000, 30,000, 20,000, 35,000. These are all black figures, no debt there at all. But then there's reason to doubt the validity of these figures quoted in the Depop documents, because Council's annual financial statement for the year ended 30th of June 2024 quotes quite different figures for the operation of Gumman Place. In the year ended 2023, it says there was a deficit of 19,000, and in the year just finished, 2024, there was a deficit of 233,000. They're quite different figures to those quoted by Council in their own official documents. I want to know how the general public can have confidence in Council's claim that Gumman Place is losing $400,000 a year when two vastly different sets of figures are presented in Council's official documents. Now, if in fact Gumman Place is losing $400,000 a year with a prediction of possibly $900,000 this current year, what's causing this over expenditure? I'd like to offer some suggestions. A, non-invoicing residents of their accommodation costs. Many residents are frustrated at being unable to pay their residential fees to Council because they have not been issued an invoice and do not know how much to pay despite begging to be billed. We understand that outstanding fees could be as much as $12,000 per resident. Not only does this cause stress to the residents, but it also affects the profitability of Gumman Place. B, loss of interest on investments. Some residents are required to pay a refundable accommodation deposit of around $220,000, which is held by Council. Nowhere in the budget summary for Gumman Place does Council show that the interest on these deposits is returned to the operation of Gumman Place. A good example is the Depop for last year. If only half of the residents pay the accommodation deposit of $220,000, this amounts to $1,760,000. And if this is invested at 5%, it would return $88,000 to Gumman Place, or if you like, $1,692 per week, which would help to offset the cost of operation. C, administration costs. For the privilege of in Gumman Place, Council charges administration costs. In 2003-2024, Council charged Gumman Place $132,000 plus an extra $84,000 in administration overheads, a total of $216,000. It doesn't include wages for nursing staff, just administration. This equates to an average of $4,000 more per week, and it cannot. For all these efforts, Council can't even issue invoices. D, staffing costs. We understand that Council has engaged a private organisation to provide aged care agency staff at exorbitant cost to Council. We also understand that it costs $85 per hour for these agency staff, plus the cost of travel and accommodation, a totaling $250,000 per annum for each person, agency person. Whereas it would only cost $60,000 for a local staff member per year. So therefore, Council could employ 4 local caregivers for the same price as one agency person. We believe that local qualified residents should be employed in preference to agency staff. In fact, we understand that locally employed staff at Gumman Place are resigning because their shifts have been significantly reduced. Some are being employed by other care organisations at higher pay and with better working conditions. So if you add up all of the figures that I've mentioned, you get to about $2.2 million. It doesn't appear that the strategies that could be employed to reduce the cost of operating Gumman Place, as Council is charging $216,000 per year administration. We're asking Council to direct the General Manager to reduce the cost of operating Gumman Place by limiting the number of agency staff engaged in preference to local staff, to regularly invoice residents for their accommodation costs, and return to Gumman Place the interest earned on accommodation deposits, at least until a suitable aged care provider can assume to the operation and management of this essential service.
Thank you, Steve. Jen, you'd like to answer some of those later questions first, or? All I can say, I can guarantee you, Steve, it's not that easy, but anyway, do you?
Look, I don't have, the figures in front of me that Mr. Gowan is, quoting. All I can say is, there's a possibility that he's looking at the aged care budget, not the government place budget, which could be well, truly different, two figures, so.
No,
Having Mr. Doss,
it's definitely government place. Solicitors government place, not aged care units.
do you want me to answer the question, or do you want to enter into debate?
Just answer the question, please.
I'm happy to get Mr. Phelps to come and respond to any figures, but as I say, I haven't been given any of these accusations or figures from Mr. Gowan, so I can't comment in detail. I can tell you that our finance people aren't doing anything dodgy with the books, which is the accusation I think Mr. Gowan is making.
I refute that. I'm not making any
Just, can you
allegations.
just let the general manager answer the questions, please? You then, speak anymore?
I can move to some of the other accusations that were put in Mr. Gowan's presentation. Overheads are a normal, I guess, part of our accounting process. If the council wants a breakdown of the overheads, but again, we can provide that. Agency staff have been required because we can't get the appropriate staff at the facility, and Mr. Pringle can speak at length today if you wish. There was a question about invoicing. I understand there was some respite care residents that we had to work out some invoicing for. There was a delay with that, and that's all been resolved.
Thank you. Councillors, any questions? Councillor Clapp?
I think it's more of a statement, but I'm pretty sure even at the start of last council term, at the first DPOC in 2022, there was no way we had a profit at that time. I'm pretty sure that there was a loss even back then, right? That was my memory of it anyway.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Gowan suggested that we had a balanced budget, and that's true. The balanced budget was for the entire $120 million of council's operations. That does not indicate that every service that we run within council is a balanced budget. Many of the services we provide are subsidised through, I guess, profits or overruns on other parts of the budget.
Yeah, Councillor Fraser.
Yes, is it your position that the figures as published by council as to the running costs of Government Place, is your position that they're incorrect? Is that the gist of your argument?
Well, I'm not really sure, George. I mean, there's two sets of council documents that have conflicting figures, so I just don't know which ones are correct and which ones are not. I'm not in a position to know that. The thing is that you know, council doesn't make public any of the sort of line item running costs or income for Government Place. So we can only go on the figures that council doesn't publish.
Well, my concern is, do you dispute the truthfulness of those figures? Is it your position that the figures as published are untrue?
I'm not saying that. No, I'm saying there's two sets of figures issued by council that don't match up. I can't explain why that is.
Would you accept that the figures as published indicating that Government Place is making a serious loss on an annual basis more likely than not to be correct?
Well, look, if you say that the annual financial statement for last year is correct, then the loss there is $233,000. But council has already said, I mean, even the mayor said that Government Place is losing $400,000 per year.
Yeah, well,
The previous year, according to this financial statement, Government Place only lost $19,000. So, like, Government Place hasn't been losing $400,000 a year for years.
well, I think it possibly has, and it's possibly worse now. But four of us councillors came to a meeting there last year where figures were provided, which indicated at that stage, and these were council published figures, that at that stage the loss was likely there was in the vicinity of $588,000. Was there any dispute about those figures when they were provided?
Those figures are not being made public, George. If you had four councils in that meeting and you saw figures, then they certainly weren't shared with the public.
Well, they were shared. They were shared by me with the meeting at Marywood.
Public meeting.
They were shared. I shared them. And I provided you with the documents as
I was
well.
not present at that meeting. I'd have to call on some of my colleagues to answer that question.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions, councillors?
Yeah, just one. The Government Place Committee meetings, those documents are made public, aren't they? And in that meeting, every 3 months when it occurs, the financials are in it and there are line items, is that correct?
Through Mr. Mayor, the meetings are held monthly, and we do provide the finances.
So the finances on Government Place are actually out there, it's not just once a year.
Correct.
Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll work, call on Mrs Griffiths. Same 4 minutes and then the extra minute, thank you.
Don't start yet.
When you're ready.
I'd like to speak to the council's engagement with the community and its obligations in relation to Government Place. Local councils are the agents of the state government and they exist in New South Wales to deliver services at a local community level. A service delivery that may not be targeted or tailored if it was delivered by the state government. As an agent of the New South Wales state government, there's an inherent responsibility passed from the state to councils under the community service obligation to maintain services such as those provided by Government Place. To be proposed and commissioned as a CSO, an activity must satisfy the following criteria: must not be pursued by a government business operating on a purely commercial basis, has a specified policy objective, there's an explicit government agreement, or as in a portfolio minister directive or government department agreement with the business that the activity should be pursued, and there's funding from the responsible government department. Under this criteria, one would think the council has a community service obligation to maintain Government Place. And what I want you to do is read that as closing this facility is not an option or an acceptable option in our community. In maintaining this service, the community has an expectation that the council will keep them abreast of any changes that may affect the provision of services. Clearly, the communication to date has been insufficient. Closed council sessions, EOIs with 48-hour gate motions and discussions with the Department of Health and Aged Care under the guise of confidentiality. Surely, some of the contents of these discussions could not possibly meet Chapter 4, Part 1, Section 10A of the Local Government Act. Given there have been committees in place to advise the council on the direction of Government Place, it may be that the council sees these committees as a conduit between themselves and the community. In other words, the very existence of the committee satisfies the communication between the council and community. I want to clearly state that this is not the case. In any corporate environment, this would not be an acceptable communication strategy. The current Government Place Advisory Committee has in their charter an objective to facilitate open communication between council and community in relation to the EOI process and the future directions of Government Place Hostel. At the same time, the charter states the committee is to make no media or public comment on behalf of the council at any time. I believe this is where some members of the committee feel engaged and unsure as to what can be said. It's difficult to facilitate open communication when you can't say anything. The obligation to keep the community informed sits squarely with the council. Expecting a committee to do this while under a directive to not make public comments is not acceptable. I note the council's agenda for this meeting in response to Councillor Stolz's motion. It states, among other things, council should not rule out closing the facility. And should the facility stay open, they'll need to reallocate funds from other areas of its budget or seek financial assistance from the Department of Health and Aged Care if it resolves to continue operating the service until an alternative service provider is found. Isn't reallocating funds from other areas what the council does now for other commercially non-viable assets? And those assets don't house the most vulnerable in our society. Let's be clear, most aged care facilities in an MMM5 region, of which Merrill was one, run at a loss. We're aware that the council is in discussions with the Department of Health and Aged Care and has been for some time. There may be one of two reasons for this. this, my understanding is that in order to close Government Place, this must be approved by the Department of Health and Aged Care. It'd be nice to hear from the council that this is not what the conversation is about. If the discussions relate to budget, surely an election year with less than 2 months to a federal election would make this a prime time to be seeking those funds. Perhaps the council would like to communicate with the residents of the area exactly what the discussions are about. Open, transparent communication between the council and the community is essential. While legally Government Place may sit on the council's books, morally it is not the council's asset to dispose of. Thank you.
Councillors, any questions? Councillor McGill.
Liz, you spoke of us being an agent of state government. Aged care comes under the Commonwealth. How do you respond to that?
So you still have a responsibility, I believe, to keep that going until such a time that you can find a provider or seek federal funding, which I would hope is what some discussions with the Department of Health and Aged Care are about, as opposed to closing the facility. So the funding comes from somewhere, but it still doesn't, I think, alleviate the responsibility the council has right now. I'm not going to pretend that this is an easy situation. It's not. We all know that. We're all well aware of it. We've spoken to people in this industry and the Department of Health and Aged Care. We understand it's a very difficult situation. But there are a lot of people in this community who might seek to help if we would just be communicated with.
I stood to bring transparency to council. I arrived here in council and discovered that there's some stuff that actually is confidential because it is commercial and confidential, because to tell it to the community at the wrong time would end up with the wrong result. And I think you and the Marriwa community need to be reassured when we go into confidential session on Government Place, it's to discuss it. It's not to hide it. It's not to sell it. It's not to throw it out. It's to work out how we can make that facility work to the benefit of the community. So that's why things go into confidential, because there are discussions and topics that are commercially confidential and that are not best spoken to the community till we have a solution.
After 25 years in the corporate world, I absolutely understand that, but to say nothing can often be more of a problem. And I do accept that you all came last November, before you came last November. It was fabulous. The silence since then has been terribly deafening, and the committee, I believe, have not been given any structure around what to say to the community at all. But I still say that the communication rests with the council. Something so important should have its own common strategy.
Okay, I'm just going to make one quick comment. Are you aware that over the lifetime of council, I think there's been 10 reports that come to council on Government Place. 10 different reports have come to council for feedback.
And could I suggest that part of the need for a communication strategy would be to be able to release information like that? So I haven't been in the community as long as you have, Morris, but I'd certainly be open to hearing those things. But I can't spend time ferreting around hoping I hit the mark. But I'd be very happy to have any of those things sent to me, but some communication would be very nice.
Thank you. Councillor Ryan, you lights on? Yep.
Yeah, with your indulgence, I actually don't have a question, but I can make a brief statement, if that's okay.
Comment.
Yeah, comment. So I'm the chair of the advisory committee, as you're aware. And what I would indicate is that the committee did make a decision that I would be the spokesperson for the committee. So I didn't ask for that. That was a decision that they came to in terms of how to communicate with the community. So the message has been consistent. I've actually stated this publicly, both in media and wherever else. So what their position is, and I think we all agree, that council is not the appropriate operator of the facility. Good landlord, not an appropriate operator. I think we all agree on that, and I think that supports Mr. Gowan's position as well. On that basis, we must find an operator that can ensure the ongoing viability and sustainability of the facility well into the future. That's clearly its objective. That's what the expression of interest is about, and that's what the engagement with the department is about. And to a large extent, we also have to understand that we are directed by the department as much as we can ask for them. So that's the communication that we would like to put out as a committee. As I said, that's not my view. That's what the committee endorsed, and I'm more than happy to share that on their behalf. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions?
One.
Not really, no. Sorry.
Probably try.
Okay, just to clear it up, councillors, Mr Griffiths and Mr Gowan are representing the Marymore District Progress Association, just to clear that up. Okay, thank you. And the next speaker is Bronwyn Andrews, representing herself. Thank you.
Same topic, isn't it?
Same topic, sorry, yeah.
Yep. Thank you. Good evening, Mr Mayor, councillors, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bronwyn Andrews. I'm a local resident of Marymore, and in this capacity, I'd like to address the motion put forward by Councillor Stoltz, in particular the request for council to ensure that Government Place Hostel is not closed. In 1991, several residents of Marymore raised the idea of establishing a hostel to care for the aged. With overwhelming community support, the concept of Government Place was born. Land was donated, livestock was sold to raise capital, and fundraising events were held. The perceived need for such an establishment was endorsed by the then Marymore Shire Council. The project was set up to ensure the security and ongoing operation of this highly valued community service and its assets. Government Place is the home of seniors who have reached the stage of life where they need assistance with simple daily chores such as food, shelter, and personal care, and can no longer maintain their basic standard of living independently, even with in-home care. But they're also not ready for full geriatric care in a hospital environment. It allows them to maintain a sense of independence while also maintaining their dignity through extra personal care. Residents of Government Place have mostly grown up and lived in Marymore. They wish to remain in the quaint country town they have known all their lives, surrounded by friends and family. In most cases, they have worked their whole life, contributed to their community and paid their taxes. Some have even served their country in international conflict. Some have donated their time and money, serving and building up the Upper Hunter region. On occasions, newer residents have moved their parents to Government Place so that they can be near them and visit them regularly, thus enabling them to continue to be a valuable part of the local community without having to travel far and wide to help to care for their elderly. An important benefit of residing in Government Place is that traditionally the carers have been locally sourced and are known to the aged. They have an attachment to the district and can have meaningful conversations with residents about local events, history, and common friends and local identities. At their time of life, they deserve to be cared for with this lovingly in mind. In contrast, agency staff provided from outside the region cannot provide this quality of interaction. Often, despite every good intention, they do not possess the same personal attention that local carers can offer. And that's not a blight on them, it's just a fact. Aged care is not just a job, it's an essential service to our community members. The opportunity to train and retrain local carers at Government Place would also benefit the local community in economic and educational sectors, encourage the youth to stay in the area and raise their own families. Government Place has been providing this quality service since its establishment in a positive financial position until approximately 5 years ago. If Council's assertion that Government Place is losing a lot of money is correct, that situation is not the fault of the residents. Perhaps the General Manager can answer as to what has gone wrong with the management of Government Place in that time. No matter who is managing or mismanaging our aged care service, one thing is for certain. The residents who call Government Place their home do not deserve to be evicted and sent away from their support structures in their frail years. Nor do future generations need to fear being exported from their community because we do not provide for the care. They are innocent victims in this whole matter. Putting the matter a bit more closely to home, how would you, councillors, feel if it was your mother or father in Government Place being faced with eviction? Would you want them to be sent far away from their loved ones when it comes time for you to go into aged care? Would you want that? Having had to deal with this very situation myself recently, I can attest that it's very traumatic, very time consuming and a frightening experience to go through. For the sake of our current and future Government Place residents, I beg you each to support the motion to not allow Government Place to be closed like a failed business expense, but to keep it open as a respectful, supportive, essential community service that it is. Thank you.
Thank you. You stated, just a question. You say there that the Government Place was in a financial position until 5 years ago?
I haven't heard of any issue until the.
That was what I'm sure you said it was in a financial position.
It has been running in a positive position
Can you
until
clarify that?
recently, is my understanding.
Yeah, that's right. My understanding, Mr Mayor, is it always has been subsidised.
Should it be continue to be subsidised though, since it is an essential community service for our aged care, aged residents? I think it should be.
All right, councillors, questions? Councillor McGill?
If the aged care industry tells me that it's not viable if you've got 60 beds and Government Place is 16 beds, how do you respond to that?
I say that the aged care industry is written and looking at it from a big city perspective instead of a small country town's perspective. And a small country town may not have 60 beds, but it still has people that need care. It still has elderly people that are counting on us to look after them when they've been here their whole lives and they need our support. And I think they've supported us all of our lives. The least we can do is support them back.
More questions? No? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, councillors, back to our agenda, confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 24th of February 2025. Someone move? Move, Councillor McGill, second Councillor Clout. Questions, comment, discussion? All in favour? Against, carried. Over to page 22, which is the Environmental and Community Services Committee. We'll do these in separate. So just the first one to adopt the minutes. Going to move it there. Move Councillor McGill, second Councillor Clout. No questions, comments? All in favour? Hands carried. Dot point 2, ECSC 03.1. Endorse the draft Sustainable Environment Plan. The mover, move Councillor McGill, second Councillor Clout. Any questions, comment, discussion? All in favour? That's carried. Down to dot point 3, ECSC 03.2. Refuse development application, the construction of a car wash cafe, 218 Kelly Street, Scone. Got a mover for the refusal. Move Councillor McGill. Seconder. Move for refusal. Councillor Clout. You wish to speak? Anyone wish to speak? Councillor McGill.
Look, in so moving, I do, because we had extensive discussion back at the committee meeting, and this was a resolution of the committee, and I supported it then and I support it now.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I'd just like to say that while no objections might have come from the community and it may have been on display, I would question how many people actually did see it on display because everyone I spoke to has not been supportive.
okay, any speakers against the recommendation? Councillor.
Now,
Please.
speak against, I think it is our place as councillors here to follow staff recommendation and follow our policies as we set them. Staff suggested that this fit all of the policies, and there were no objections. So I can't see a reason to vote against it. I Now, I am very pro-development in this shire, and I hear a lot of discussion from businesses that that the council in the past has limited development and limited businesses. So on that front, I'm happy to support the approval of this.
Thank you, councillor Williamson. Any other speakers? Just to clarify, councillors, we've got the refusal in front of us, moved and second. Now, if someone wishes for the original motion to get up, we need a foreshadowed. Okay?
What original motion?
Of the DNE, if we want to approve it, otherwise the motion's defunct, we're back to square one.
But it wasn't approved, it was approval of conditions, wasn't it? If that was.
Staff recommendation.
Yeah.
Councillor Williamson.
In that case, I'd move a foreshadow as per the staff recommendation in the ELC, please.
Thank you, councillor Williamson. We get a seconder for that. Councillor Stoltz. Now we're going to put the motion that's in front of us is to refuse up. And if that's lost, we'll come back to councillor Williamson's. Okay. All in favour, moved by councillor McGill, second by councillor Clout, of refusal. Show of hands, please. We've got councillor Clout, Fraser, McGill, and Shields. Okay.
Yeah, we can do the maths too.
Looking at the spare seat. Those to go to the foreshadowed, or those going against, yeah.
Opposed to the resolution.
Opposed to the.
Yeah. So that's Collison, Williamson, Stoltz, and Ryan. That is locked up. Councillors, I'm going to vote to go to the foreshadowed. The reasoning is, done my homework on this. I think there could be a better position for it, but nothing adds up to back that argument. So I'm going to go against the refusal. So we're going to go to the foreshadowed. Councillor Williamson and Councillor Stoltz. And now we're going to just vote on that. You don't wish to speak anymore? You don't wish to speak, Councillor Stoltz? No. Happy? Yep. Anyone else wish to speak against the for?
I just would speak against it because we have committees. The committees consider this in great detail. The committee's made a recommendation for the rest of the council. If council now wants to not listen to that committee, it's a bit of a sad day.
Yes, take it on notice there. So remember, councillors, we're voting on the foreshadow now to approve with the latest conditions. Right, councillor, Mr. Pringle? Remember, the latest conditions is what we're voting on, so it's approved with those conditions. All in favour? It's Collison, Williams, Stoltz, Ryan. Against? Well, Fraser, McGill, Shields, and I'll vote for, which passes the recommendation. Thank you. Okay. Councillors, over to this one. Oh, sorry, I'm rushing things here. ECSC 03.3 defer the development application for the construction of tourist and business accommodation at Bennington Street, Marywell. Move Councillor Williamson, second Councillor McGill. Any questions, comment, discussion around it? Oh, yes.
Again, this was discussed in committee, and I understand that Mr. Pringle was going to do some further work with the applicants. There are issues here that impinge upon the whole of the community out there at Marywell, particularly access to a number of buildings.
Thank you. All in favour?
Yes.
Deferred? Yep. Against, the motion is carried. Down to 0.5, ECSC 03.4, approved development application for the construction of a 20-room motel, men's accommodation, office and cafe, laundry and storage, subject to conditions of consent in attachment 3. At Marundi. Mover? Move Councillor Ryan. Seconder? Councillor Clout. Any questions, comment, discussion? Councillor McGill.
I sat on my hands because I opposed as a committee and I haven't changed my position. Thank you.
Okay, we've got a mover and a second to approve. All in favour for approval? is Collison, Williamson, Shields, Ryan and Clout. Against is councillor Fraser, McGill and Stoltz. The motion is carried. Thank you. Now we'll go over to page 46. This is Infrastructure Services Committee. A mover. Move councillor Clout, seconder. Councillor McGill. Questions, comment, discussion? Councillor McGill.
Just like to take this opportunity to, through the Director of Infrastructure, support the work that you're doing. There's fabulous reports in here, and there's stuff that's not in here, but it's actually a wonderful concrete causeway in Murrurundi, and we are so proud and so helpful, thank you. And also to the Infrastructure Department, as a councillor, people up there think, oh my God, I put a CRM in the morning and it's resolved in the afternoon. Thank you for your expedient attention. Thank you.
Geez, I don't know what pull you've got. And the causeway didn't get washed away in one of the biggest floods.
But it's got a bloody big tree in the middle of it right now.
Okay, councillor, we've got a mover and a seconder. Any more questions? All in favour? Against? Carried. Over to the corporate services on page 51. Do it as a lot, 1, 2, 3, B's, A, B, C. A mover. Move councillor Williamson, second councillor Shields. Questions, comment, discussion? All in favour? Against? It's carried. We go over to page 60, the Community Advisory Committee of Scone District. There's two parts of the recommendation. Councillor Fraser, did you wish to speak?
Yes, I'm a member of this committee and I'd like to speak in relation to recommendation 2. It was a recommendation that I spoke against at the committee meeting, and I don't change my position on that. I'd ask that council consider passing the recommendation, but without passing recommendation 2. So it would be my motion that it be amended to exclude recommendation 2 and not just vote on recommendation 1. Alternatively, if they are to be voted, but they otherwise be voted on separately, and council consider voting against recommendation 2. The reason why I say that is that, in my view, the recommendation essentially is to my mind, making the role of the committee members and the councillors and council in this committee overly legalistic, in that it's attempting to define the actual roles and responsibilities of the various members or participants in the committee, and also council's responsibilities towards the committee. In my view, the appropriate way to approach the work of the Community Advisory Committee is for the Community Advisory Committee to be wide-ranging in nature and provide general advice to council on community issues, and they shouldn't be bound by legalistic rules of what their responsibilities are. Should be wide-ranging and shouldn't be limited by a set of rules that are imposed upon them. On that basis, I would ask to consider voting against recommendation 2.
Thank you, councillor Fraser. All clear? Just we're dealing with dot point 1. 2 is removed. We've got a seconder. Second by councillor McGill. Any more questions, comment? All in favour? That is carried. Dot point 1 only. Thank you. Over to Community Advisory Committee of Merriwall District. Mover. Move councillor Ryan, second councillor Stoltz. Questions, comment, discussion? Councillor McGill.
Yes, I attended the meeting as an alternate. I must say, the Merriwall community are pretty fabulous. They're very vocal, they're very switched on, and they know what they want. So it's great to see this committee up and running, and in the stewardship of councillors Ryan and Stoltz.
Thank you. No more comments? All in favour? Against? Carried. Over to page 71, Government Place Hostel Advisory Committee meeting. A mover. Councillor Ryan, seconder. Councillor Clout, any questions, comment? No comment, just a question, Councillor Stoltz, I see you missed 2 of those meetings, you wish to continue on the committee or you wish someone to take your place?
I'm right to continue.
You're right to continue, thank
Yeah,
you,
thanks.
thank you. Okay, no more comments or questions, all in favour? Against, carried. Over to page 81 is the Community Strategic Plan 2035. Got a mover. Move Councillor McGill, second Councillor Fraser. Questions, comment, discussion? Councillor McGill,
So this is just for exhibition, and when it comes back to the public, then we as a council get to look at it and do whatever edit if necessary. Thank you.
very important document, councillors. Okay, no more questions, comment, discussion? All in favour? Against, it's carried. Over to page 84, the planning agreement offer for Liverpool Range Quarry Project. Remember, we're only dealing with the offer. Mover, Councillor McGill, second Councillor Shields. Questions, comment, discussion? Councillor,
Just a quick comment. I look forward to getting the recommendation from the Cassels District Development Group on how this fund will be expended.
good, no more comments? Dare someone to move that we bring it to Scone? All in favour? Against? Carried. Over to page 88, councillors, this might take a little bit of running through. It's for the 2025 Anzac Day services. We'll just go through them. I've got Aberdeen, Councillor McPhee has said she's keen. Is anyone else keen to go to Aberdeen? Councillor Shields. Okay, Cassels. Councillor Ryan. Mary Ward, dawn service. And then there's the parade and then the main service.
I think I'll do the dawn service and Councillor Stoltz is keen to do the other two. Split that up if that's okay.
That's fine. So that'll be Councillor Ryan for the dawn service. Councillor Stoltz for the 10:30 and 10:45. All done. Marundi. Oh. We've got a service up there at 6 and we've got one at 10:45. Got any councillors volunteering for that one?
Sorry.
I can do the 10:45 one, I can't do the dawn one.
The 10:45, you can do that, Councillor Clout. No doubt about you. We've got someone to do the 6 o'clock one. No?
I regret to say, I'll actually be in Sydney on Anzac Day this year, so I won't be available for any of this.
Anyway, we'll certainly be in contact with them and we'll put Councillor Clout down. It is a busy time, there's a lot of services to attend, so we'll sort that out. Scone at 5:30, I'll be attending the Scone one myself. Is anyone else keen? Councillor Williamson? No more? The 10:30 assembly in Scone. Councillor Williamson? And out at Gundy, Councillor McPhee and myself will be both attending that one. Anyone else wish to go to Gundy? No? Okay, thank you all for your help on that important day. Oh yeah, mover and seconder for those recommendations. Move Councillor Williamson, second Councillor Shields, all in favour? Against? Carried. Over to page 90. It's the G03.4, the 2025 National General Assembly in Canberra. Which councillors, I will put my hand up to go to that. And I think Councillor Ryan has expressed an interest in that. Any other councillors? Councillor McPhee? Okay, she sent me a text message this morning to show expression of interest in that, so that's fine. So Colson, Ryan and McPhee, and we'll Jenny will go, yeah.
I don't need a council resolution.
But you're a delegate,
Oh, yes.
right, okay.
Yep. So we'll put Councillor McPhee there. If something happens, she doesn't wish to go, well, we're no further behind. So, okay, we'll move it for that. Move Councillor McGill, second Councillor Fraser. Any questions, comment, discussion? All in favour? Against? Carried.
We expect a full written report.
Oh, you'll get surely, sorry, because I'll give you something. Policy, what do you want to hear? Big money, you're going to hit the Hunter Valley.
Yeah. Oh, very good.
Okay, policies for review, page 92. Two parts of the recommendation. A mover, move Councillor McGill, seconder. Councillor Fraser, questions, comment, discussion? All in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, over to page 107 is the Merriwall Sports Precinct Master Plan. Remember, there's no money there, but the master plan. 1, 2, 3, and 4 parts of the recommendation. And a mover, Councillor Clout, second, Councillor Ryan. Any questions, comment? All in favour? Against? Carried. Right, we move over to NM 03.1 is the notice of motion freight train revenue by Councillor Shields. We've got a mover, move Councillor Shields. I've got a seconder. Second, Councillor Stoltz. Any questions, comment? Councillor Shields, you wish to speak as the mover?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. In January 1961, John F. Kennedy made the remarkable statement, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Why did JFK say that? Because he was talking to Americans about passive reliance on government and telling them to become more resilient. This motion, as it stands, has no legal basis on which it can succeed. The point of raising it and leaving it on the agenda this evening is because we need to start a debate about how we fund ourselves. We can no longer rely on the upper levels of government to meet our needs. It's been very clear in recent times. The New South Wales Legislative Council had a report come out in November last year. And it basically said that it is clear that local councils face significant revenue raising and cost pressures to adequately meet the needs of their communities. Now, that report came down on the 29th of November. Nothing has been heard of it since. And then in February, a House of Representatives Standing Committee came down with a similar report. Now, that was an interim report. Last week's federal government budget delivered very little for local government. So our situation is that our finances are in a parlous state. We are in a fragile position. And none of the levels of government above us are prepared to provide us with any guaranteed source of funding. So looking at the 4,400 freight train movements that pass through Scone, I looked at, is there a possibility that we could raise some funds through that? Now, the answer is legally no, but we need to get this debate going. We need to be saying to levels of government above us that we need an external source of funding that is not from our ratepayers. We don't want to damage our ratepayers any further, but we need additional funds to sustain our economic requirements. So I leave that with the council.
Thank you, Councillor Stoll. The seconder, you wish to speak?
No, I'd like to thank Councillor Shields for thinking outside the box with this motion.
Thank you. Any questions, comment? Councillor Ryan? Councillor Ryan,
Okay, yeah. I would speak against the motion. but I do so very carefully. So I'd like to commend councillor Shields for putting forward an idea, and I would encourage all my fellow councillors to continue to do the same. The reason I can't support it is for the very same reasons that councillor Shields is articulating himself in it. There is no legal basis to do this. So I think it can stay where it is, but I do believe that it has got people thinking about other ways, and I can generating revenue, which obviously is a big challenge. And I can report that having been to the Country Mayors Association meeting last week, that this issue is being addressed by each and every rural and regional council, and they are all in the same position. So we are not alone. The move to increase our operating, or the FAG revenue from 0.5 to 1%, where it needs to be, was successful to the point of 0.1%. So, and again, all of the our colleagues in regional and rural New South Wales are of the same view. So we have to keep pressing this issue about revenue. There is no doubt about it. And whilst I can't support the motion, I'm comfortable with the idea of councillors bringing forward ideas to generate further revenue. Thank you.
Councillor Ryan, Councillor Hill, or Councillor Fraser, whoever's both got your lights on, say, Councillor Fraser.
When I first read this motion, it struck me as being an impossibility. However, on further reading of it, I don't believe it's actually outside the realm of possibility. It does have a few things to recommend it, and I'll say that, and it may well be that I offer an amendment to this. The approach to the suggestion that there be an approach to the Commonwealth and to the New South Wales government to create a compensatory revenue stream covering freight trains, or let's say let's leave it as freight trains that traverse the Upper Hunter Shire. While under the present system is an impossibility, it would only require a change of the legislative attitude for it to become a possibility. The only way it becomes a possibility is the pressures exerted on those who will believe it's a policy. On that basis, I don't think that the motion by Councillor Shields is without merit. What I would suggest is, if it were to move forward as a motion, and this is my proposed amendment, is that the words we take it as read up to, in an effort to, and then we take out establish a voluntary planning agreement or similar mechanism with Australian Railtrack Corporation to create a compensatory revenue stream. We take out the words to establish through to the end of Australian Railtrack Corporation, which leaves us with Upper Hunter Shire Council engage expediently with our Commonwealth Government representative, also with New South Wales Government representative and other appropriate statutory authorities, to create a compensatory revenue stream covering freight trains that constantly traverse the Upper Hunter Shire to convey mineral and general freight to ports and terminals south of this shire. It may be that we're tilting at windmills. It may well be that is the case. But I don't believe that it's without merit that we at least raise the argument, that we at least raise the point, and say that there's an awful lot of mineral wealth that is transported through our area. It does create, on Councillor Shields' numbers, significant delays throughout our shire. Probably wouldn't hurt a little bit that there is some contribution to our local shire from these types of operations. And there's no hurt in my view in exploring that and perhaps trying to change the minds of the policymakers in an effort to perhaps make it a little bit more equitable for the amount that these trains do discommode our local residents. On that basis, I say that the motion as itself is an impossibility, but with a little bit of political will, it's not an impossibility.
So councillor Shields, that change of the motions up there. Councillor Fraser, is that what you're saying up on the board?
Oh. All
Yeah, I think
right. I've got my
it's-
glasses.
Yep.
I took that.
Okay, so we had councillor Shields move the original. Are you happy to put that amendment word?
Mr Mayor, yep.
And councillor Stoltz, are you happy to change that wording?
Yes, Mr Mayor.
Very well done. And maybe if the New South Wales government's listening and give us our Royal List Regions money back, things might be a little easier again. Okay, to put the, yes, councillor McGill.
Yeah, can I just seek clarification for the movers? When you say Commonwealth Government representative and New South Wales Government representative, do you mean our local members or do you mean someone else?
I mean, our elected members, yeah,
Local members?
yeah, local members, yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's another amendment, really.
Well,
I would think we'd want him, if you're going to go forward with this, there's no point talking to two local members.
I agree.
And
Could
then
I
we're
offer
talking at a governmental level.
offer an amendment to my amendment? We can taste that with any of the relative ridiculousness here, and I'm sure you will have a poem about it later to point out how silly I'm being. Could we change with our Commonwealth Government representative in New South Wales to engage with the Commonwealth Government, take out representative,
Yes.
and also with New South Wales Government, take out representative. So if we take out representative, and also, and where it says, and also with our, take out, and with the New South Wales Government, and with the. So, and also with our, and with the. Yeah, so take out, so. Take out our. Put in the.
Oh, you need our Commonwealth too.
Our Commonwealth Government, with the Commonwealth Government, so take out our, in front of Commonwealth. Amend that to the. Yeah, okay, that was still. Bruce read it, Councillor.
It's a better way.
Well, for that amendment.
Okay, Cal, I'm not going to put that as another amendment. I'm just going to put a little bit of clarity around the wording. So you happy with that, councillor Shields?
I am, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Stoltz?
Yes, Mr Mayor.
Okay,
Now I want to speak against it. Now we've got something that I can speak against. Look, councillor Shields, I applaud you, but I think it's a bit Don Quixote. We're tilting at windmills, but let's go for it. I would rather be talking to ARTC and the state government about the condition of the road and rail corridors through the Shire. I'd rather be talking to them about the weed load rather than trying to follow what I see as being ideals but pipe dreams. Let's come back next month and talk to the authorities about something tangible for the Shire, which is to clean up the weed load up and down the Shire. There's 100 k's of weeds between Aberdeen and Murrurundi that these authorities that you're talking about are ignoring. It's not acceptable anymore.
take that as a comment. Okay, we're going to go back to the amended motion. Those in favour of councillor Ryan?
I actually had a quick question about the amendment. Where it says engage, what does that mean? Does that mean we're going to write a letter? Or what is the process that's envisaged for engagement?
Interpret it doing something. I think I read it.
To do graffiti on the side of the rails.
I only asked just in terms of the amount of effort and time spent on it.
No, I think that quick letter is the way to go.
So,
Councillor Williamson?
Yeah, I'm just watching through this and I promise I have no amendments to that or anything else. I do commend the councillor. I think it's important that we do look outside the box. I do note through here, though, we're discussing ARTC in other agreements, so Muswellbrook Horizon of 2017, VPAs were drawn with private companies. Where we are discussing mainly two private companies, Pacific National and Horizon, that are the major freight works through here, and I think probably reflects more And I'm gonna make this just as a comment because what I like about, what you've brought to us is it does put a focus on another space that we should be paying attention to. I don't believe we've been part of a VPA, with either of those companies, whereas, my understanding, and I could be wrong with this, but my understanding is the Lower Hunter Shire councils have all engaged in VPAs with Pacific National and or Horizon. We seem to be taking all of this traffic through for very little compensation. So there, I commend what you're doing there, and I think it's great that staff now have an eye on this, and any further developments and potential future VPAs should be front of mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williamson. So you have the right to close debate, Councillor Shields, if you wish, or you're quite happy with? Quite happy. Okay, we'll put the small amended recommendation up. All in favour? Collison, Williamson, Stoltz, Shields, Fraser and Clout, and against is Councillor Ryan and Councillor McGill. That motion is carried.
Welcome to the three.
Okay. Go to page 147. The notice of motion, the 2027 Men's Rugby World Cup pre-tournament training camp by Councillor Shields. I've got a mover. Move Councillor Shields. I've got a second to open debate up.
Yes.
Councillor Fraser.
Absolutely.
Councillor Shields, you have the floor.
2027, the Rugby World Cup will be staged in Australia, including 4 pool games at Newcastle. This particular tournament has been increased from the traditional 16 teams to 24 teams. Those teams will arrive in Australia well before the actual tournament begins, and they will be acclimatising and training. It seems to me that there's a great opportunity for the Upper Hunter Shire to attract one of those teams to our shire to establish a training camp. There are significant benefits that would come our way, economic benefits in terms of accommodation and other services that we would supply to that team. Media from that country, and in fact other countries, and perhaps media just generally covering the Rugby World Cup, would pay us some attention as well. There are community benefits by raising the profile of rugby union, and the Scone Rugby Club has endorsed this proposal and said they are very interested. They have very good training facilities down there in Aberdeen Street. And of course, there's the benefit of local residents being able to engage with an international team training here and being able to go and watch training sessions and engage with the players and the management of that team. And finally, potentially, the council could offer a civic reception and perhaps even engage with the embassy of that particular country. So I think there are significant benefits for us to try and jump on board this. And when the Rugby World Cup organising committee can provide us with a template, which they have said they can do, we should be working out or trying to attract an international team to come and base itself here.
Thank you, Councillor Shields. Any other questions or comment? Councillor Ryan.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest an amendment. What I like about the proposal is that it does have the full support of Scone Rugby Club. I think that's great, and I think we should be putting our weight behind it. I'm wondering whether this motion should say that rather than the Upper Hunter Shire Council engage fully with Rugby Australia, that we support the Scone Rugby Club in their initiative to engage with Rugby Australia, put them out in front and fully support it. So I'd like to make that as a proposed amendment. If you consider it.
Councillor Shields.
I have no objection to that. It sounds like a better way of doing it.
What do we do?
You're an easy flowing councillor.
Shouldn't we be working with the local law?
yeah, they take the lead, we support them.
You won't walk away from doing it for.
Well, we fully support it.
Yeah.
They are in fact making this approach, to your knowledge.
Sorry?
The rugby club is in fact making this approach, to your knowledge.
I don't know whether they are. When I spoke with them, they indicated that they fully supported the idea. Now, if we turn around and say to them, guys, you're out front running this, I guess we have to find out whether they will endorse that.
Can I suggest maybe the resolution should council work with the Scone Rugby Club too? We need to facilitate and get it kicked off, I would have thought, and then they can run the carriage of it.
Well, that was my original thinking, that the council would kick this off and then hand it over to Scone Rugby Club to bring it to fruition, as it were.
Gentlemen, I think you're getting well ahead of yourselves.
Yeah.
At this stage, there is absolutely no indication that Scone Rugby Club will be making this approach. I suggest we return to the original motion, and if the engagement fully with Rugby Australia means providing a letter of support to Scone Rugby Club, so be it. But at this stage, we're pretty much putting words in the mouth of Scone Rugby Club, or putting the cat or the horse or whatever other sort of analogy or metaphor we wish to engage in. But I think that the gist of it is that we should make some approach to Rugby Australia to say, if someone comes here, or if someone wants to come here, this is what we can do, pushing our way. I think our first motion gets us there.
Okay, we're getting off, well, we're only supposed to be speaking once unless you're the mover and the seconder, so, well, the sound of it, councillor Shields, we're going back to the original recommendation.
I'm happy with that.
Are you happy with that?
And that was seconded by councillor Fraser. That's correct. Back to the original, right? We're back to the original motion, and we've all spoken, right? Now you got the right to finish off debate, but you're quite happy to leave it as is.
I'm happy to leave it as is.
Thank you very much. All in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Over to page 149, NM 03.3, notice of motion, Government Place Hostel. Councillor Stoltz, you wish to move your recommendation? Move.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Got a seconder? Second, councillor McGill. Questions, comment? Councillor, you wish to speak first, councillor Stoltz? To the motion?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. We've had three very good speakers this afternoon that put it on the table what it means to the community, this facility. It's extremely unfortunate that we're in the financial position that we are in with Government Place, and aging care certainly is a growth industry. However, council's quite clear in its position. It doesn't want to continue in that space, and that's the way it goes. So yeah, the terms of my motion, and not all those points might be palatable to councillors tonight, but keeping government open as long as we can until we find alternate arrangements for someone else to provide it, I think is of utmost importance to the community, giving staff and also residents some sort of security. There is enough information out now that the community is aware that council can no longer sustain the losses on this facility. We need some time for the community to get their ducks in a row. And in terms of community consultation, I think that's something we can always do better during these processes. There's absolutely no silver lining, or the outcome, and the process is rocky. However, I think the community important points were the community feels they're not getting enough information, not communications from council, and also too that for reasons, around section 10A confidential component, which, councillor McGill, touched on during, some of the questions to, the Merriwell Progress Association. Are there ways where we can provide information, without breaching those sections of confidentiality to give the community some confidence and support that we're doing our best to achieve the best outcome for the residents and the staff and the community with this facility.
Okay, got speakers for or against, councillor McGill?
Yes, it's the second I do so, really to give councillor Stoltz an opportunity to address the motion. I'd actually foreshadow an amendment that paragraphs 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9 be deleted and we vote only on paragraphs 1 and 2. The rationale for that is that those paragraphs that I've nominated, 3 through to 9, they do impinge upon some of the discussions we're having later on in the confidential session. They do talk about the EOI. Things have moved on since councillor Stoltz put this motion up some 2 weeks ago. Obviously, there were discussions last week at Government Place Committee, and there have been discussions elsewhere as recently as last Friday and again today. So I'd suggest that those first two clauses work and that the others just defer consideration of them for some time.
Okay, that's foreshadowed, that sits in the background at this stage. We've got a mover and a second for the original. Anyone else wish to speak for or against? Councillor Fraser?
Yes, much as a claim to do so, I think that I'll speak against it. I think much of these matters should be dealt with in confidential sessions. They do impinge upon matters that we are going to discuss in confidential session. In relation to order 1 of the motion, I note that it's probably something that I would suggest that we don't vote in favour of simply because it ties the hand to council essentially until a new provider or operator of Government Place is found. Now, that may or may not come to pass, I don't know. But I think it's an open-ended motion which will tie council's hands improperly and much to their detriment. And I suggest on that basis that even if we do shorten it to 1 and 2, that we don't vote in favour of order 1. In relation to order 2, I think that's asking us to vote on something which is already something which we should be well aware of and should be compliant with. Again, motion 3, I think impinges on things we're going to talk about in confidential session. 4, again, I think impinges on things we're going to discuss in confidential session. 5 impinges on things we're going to discuss in confidential session. 6, I believe, also falls into that category. 7, I have concerns about, as in, again, it will result in an open-ended situation where there may not be any resolution to the issue of the operation or future of Government Place, and on that basis, I say that that's unacceptable. Order 8 isn't, in my view, an appropriate motion because it doesn't suggest an outcome; it simply expresses an opinion. And 9. Again, I think falls into the matters we're going to discuss in confidential session, and on that basis, I would speak against voting in open session on all of those matters. So, if you really felt the need to exercise your arm, you could vote on probably without too much detriment to anyone on the proposed order 2.
Okay, councillor, any other speakers for or against? Councillor Stolz, you wish to finalise the debate, or you're happy to put the motion?
I'm happy to put the motion, thanks.
Okay, councillor, we're putting the original motion, and if it fails, we'll go back to the foreshadowed. So for the original motion, those in favour of the motion. Councillor Stolz, Collison, Williamson, Shields, Ryan, McGill, Fraser and Clout are against, correct? That motion is lost. Now we'll go back to Councillor McGill foreshadowed. I've got a second for that foreshadowed. Councillor Stolz, foreshadowing. Speaker?
I think I've said it all already. I think these two clauses are productive and they do give a resolve to councillor Stoltz, wasn't otherwise there.
Councillor Ryan, you speaking for or against the foreshadow?
Just some clarity. I
Clarity?
was a little confused, sorry. So, items 1 through 9 are lost, but the foreshadow still includes items 1 and 2.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no more comment, question? Councillor Fraser?
I'll repeat my comments in relation to
Yeah.
proposed order 1. As I say, I think if that is approved, it unfairly unreasonably ties the hands of council in relation to various board discussions we're about to have in confidential session. On that basis, I speak against it.
Thank you. Okay, no other speakers? So we're going back, councillor, to the foreshadow, moved by councillor McGill, second by councillor Stoltz, is include 1 and 2. Those in favour of the foreshadowed, it's councillor McGill and councillor Stoltz. Against the foreshadowed, Collison, Williamson, Shields, Ryan, Fraser and Clout. The recommendation has been lost. Thank you. Over to page 151 is questions with notice. Councillor Ryan, you had some questions, you got answers, no debate, but are you happy with those answers?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, thank you very much for putting that report together. I appreciate all the comments and I hope that was useful for more than just me.
Thank you. I think I need a mover there. Thank you, didn't I?
Just to note
Just noted it.
it. So moved.
Okay, move councillor McGill, second councillor Ryan. All in favour, against, carried. Okay, councillors, can I get someone to move me into confidential?
So moved.
Move councillor McGill, second councillor Williamson, all in favour? Against, carried.